record. Is it recording?
Yeah, I said that. Yeah.
Recording.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, you can do reactions on here. Let me have a look. Did you see my thumbs up? How long did it stay on the screen? Just stay,
It's gone now.
adequate amount
How
of
do
time.
you do that?
If you go to reactions, so on your screen, you have to touch the center of your screen, and then all your options will come up from the bottom.
No. Oh wait, it says more.
Yeah, I love that.
See mine?
Yeah. We're going to be using a lot of emojis today.
I only
All right.
see 2.
Hopefully this audio has been picked up good. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm going to pin this on the shirt. All right. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Self-Conscious. I am Chantel Bancroft, and this is...
Colette. One word.
Welcome.
Brittany. Christina. Share. Colette.
Welcome. I just want to say, we haven't got a title for this episode yet, but we have a lot of things to get through, and I feel like it will be easy to decide on what to call it. I'm assuming that in the title with something to do with black, violence.
In my mind, it's part 2. So actually, I like part 2.
This is a what part 2?
Continuation. This is
what,
part
like,
2 from what we were talking about a few days ago. This is part 2 for me, anyway.
If you're tuning in and you haven't caught last week's bonus episode, it's called Do Black Lives Matter to You, Mr. White Man? You can find that on Anchor or on Spotify or anywhere else where you listen to your podcast. And also just to say, I didn't mention it in the last episode, if you download the Anchor app from Anchor FM, you can actually give us a video, an audio response to anything that we talk about in the video, because it'd be nice to hear how you're feeling at the moment. There's a lot of things going on, how it's affecting you, whether you're white, black, or green. You can leave us a message, but you need to download the Anchor app on Anchor FM to do so, and then you can send us a message through there by finding our podcast, Self-Conscious Podcast, on the Anchor app. All right, we're on the clock. We're literally at 1 hour and 1 minute. So take the show.
What do we were at 1 hour?
Like, look, timer. 1 hour.
Oh. Okay, so
I'm just gonna test your moderating skills.
Since we no, this is gonna test your belief of my moderators. My moderators, because I'm fine. So since we talked on the last episode, we both went out to protest.
Yeah, boy. Things are one.
Sunday, the 7th, we went in
6th.
2 different. Okay, well, this Sunday just passed. We did it by ourselves. We didn't protest together. I went to my own protest. Shan went to hers. How did you find it?
Well, can I preface this with a context? With a context.
Then spell precipice.
I know. I just know what I like saying. So I knew about these protest days that were happening through Black Lives Matters because I follow Cut the Chat on Instagram. You know, we talk about Cut the Chat so much on here. Wondering if this is going out to the universe. Hey, if you ever watch this, yes, I will be on your podcast. I love it.
And we've got 1 hour. Let's go.
I just wanted to say that. But yeah, so I forwarded that to my Instagram account, and I really wanted to go to one of them.
Yeah.
I had missed the one on Wednesday, and I wanted to go to the next one, which is on a Sunday. And I picked myself up, and I went, and it was definitely an experience. And then when you told me you were going, that was exciting for me for some reason. I don't know why I felt so like, yay.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. So that was you want to talk about your experience first? That was a whole
No, go ahead.
Okay. So this was in it was the 3rd of 3 protests, and this one was happening at they were protesting and doing a march to the US Embassy. And I think everyone, you have to get to the US Embassy, to get to that part of London, you have to get off at Vauxhall to get to the US Embassy.
Yeah.
It's sort of like up the road, up a small dual carriageway, and then major roads. And then The first thing that happened was when I got on the train, you knew who was going to these. Like you could just kind of feel who was going. Like I didn't have a board, I didn't have a sign or anything, but I feel like I was emoting as a black woman that I was going to do things right today. And then when I got on the train, people got on throughout the stops and they had signs, so you knew who was going. There was a set of 3 or 4 white boys who came together, and I had a feeling they were going, but one of them busted open a bottle of vodka, and I was like, see right there, that's the, see it right there. That's how come we get blamed for things going in, because you lot are going to these protests amped up and maybe drinking, and it's not a good look. I was disappointed by that. The guy kept touching with his back. I didn't like that. But anyway, they were going for solidarity, right? I just wasn't happy they were drinking vodka because it's not a day out. It's not a day out. But there was a group of black girls down the train and 2 black people in front of me, and it was a conscious vibe, you know. Everyone was getting ready, and then the stop before Vauxhall is Pimlico, and just as it moved off from Pimlico, right over the tannoy, the guy driving the train said, "This train will not be stopping at Vauxhall." And everybody on the train who was attending that event was like, can you fucking believe what they're trying to do? They're trying to shut us down. The whole vibe. Like, everyone was like, is it? And you know why they weren't stopping? Because the train was full. Isn't that why you stopped? I couldn't believe it. I was like, you could have thought of something else. Anyway, so I didn't know where to get off. I had to follow the crowd. So we got off at Pimlico. Oh, yes, this was Pimlico. And everybody just traveled up towards it. And I don't know what I was expecting, but I don't think I was expecting to see as many people as I did. And first thing I noticed was we were outnumbered. There were definitely more people who were not black at this event. And do you want me to say how I felt about that?
Yeah. How do you feel about the whole experience?
I was honestly shocked. I was shocked for most of the hours that I was there. I was shocked. I couldn't believe so many people who weren't black, first of all, cared. And the first thing I thought to myself was, I probably passed you lot through all my years, you know what I mean? And not know, or I'd be sitting on the train next to you and not know that you cared about my life. I wouldn't know. And to see everybody in that environment, knowing that everyone was there for one particular reason, it was as a black person, it shocked me. I was just like, oh, okay. It was just so many people came, and they wouldn't. Well, we were walking forward. The crowd was moving forward, and we must have been going forward. And then eventually, then the first thing that happened was everyone took a knee, and I heard someone behind me say, "Oh, this is beautiful," and I was like, everyone got up and moved forward, and that happened a couple of times. And then there was chants going, and people had boards, and then people were taking on the chants to keep the chants going, and there was no actual communication as when we were supposed to stop and take a knee. It's just kind of, it just happened, like a vibration happened, like you knew from the row in front that it was going to happen, and it happened. No one talked about it, and then there was clapping at the end, and people got up, and I was, the whole time I was just like, wow, this is just, I tried to chat, but I thought my little voice was little. And then what was written on the boards were interesting. White silence is violence, and there was one that said stop killing the man them, and I was like, all right. And then there was a lot, and then just to fast forward a little bit, because I know we're on the and then we stopped for a really long time, and there was a drone that would fly over periodically with a camera. So I'm like, drones can carry guns and cameras. I've seen it. Everyone was a little para about that. And then we just stopped for ages. We must have stopped for like 30 minutes. And we heard whispers from the front of the crowd saying they've barricaded it. So we got so close to the embassy, but we never got there. The police stopped it. Everyone turned around and went back. But there were some people who were just walking back, and some people who were still marching. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then people decided to take a break on the side. And that's when I called you. And like, but they were still holding their signs. I was like, we've stopped. We're gonna hold our signs in case anyone sees us. And then I had an overwhelming feeling looking around me where I was like, wow, this is a moment in Black history. And this is a moment in world history. And this is a moment for the history of all the different races who were here. And I was touched by that. And I was like, this needs to be captured and archived. And then I just like, because I was taking pictures throughout, but then that moment hit me and I was like, nah. I always felt like it was my duty to be like, I have to capture this so that I can like tell the grandkids, right? It's like, I've got more to the story, but you go on because we're on.
Oh, go on. Say a bit more.
Okay, so then everyone turned around, and then as we got to Vauxhall Bridge, because it was the only way to get back, we saw a whole heap of police officers come in from the back of us. So we knew you couldn't go. You could go around them, but they didn't want like a big crowd, but you could go around them. So I sat down for a little bit. And then everyone had to cross the bridge, and the march just kind of grew back in momentum, and everyone's marching across the bridge. Then something went down at the other side of the bridge where they were trying to stop this black guy. I don't know what really happened there. If you want to see footage, you can go on Facebook or on our Instagram, Self-Conscious Podcast. I think I put it out there. And then as we got over the bridge, I'm now like, I've been here for a long time. I'm tired. I need to go home. And I must have missed the turning. So I was like, okay, so I need to keep going in order to, I was having a hard time, I was struggling physically to move forward. I was having a lot of pain. And my back and everything, and my hips were going, and I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. But the only thing to do was to move forward. So I would break, walk a little bit, and then move forward and break, right? And then I realized that we were stopping traffic on a main road. The cars had to stop. The buses had to stop. There was just drivers who just did this and turned on their lights. They were just stopping, and then cars were beeping Black Lives Matters, and there were people on their porches who were passing flats with their little signs. There was a guy who was saying LGBTQ lives matter in terms of the Black community within the LGBTQ. And there was a guy dressed up, and it was just so like, yeah. I got so many photos, and I got like audio, and which you're gonna hear, or you'll heard at the top of this podcast, because I'm gonna insert it in the top of the podcast. It was just beautiful. It was beautiful, but not because everyone was out there for the same reason. It was beautiful because I don't know, because I was surprised by it. That's what was beautiful. My surprise.
Yeah.
And they kept going all past Victoria. They kept going.
So when you left isn't when it ended?
No. They turned the corner and they went. I was shattered.
Yeah.
I was shattered. There's one tomorrow. Saturday's been cancelled. There's one tomorrow from 1 p.m. They're going from Marble Arch to Downing Street, and there's also at 2 p.m. there's a event happening in Hyde Park. So if I go, I'm gonna just probably start off at Marble Arch with the group, and then get back on the train and then meet them at thing. I can't deal with that. Or find one.
Is that why you didn't want to do this tomorrow?
No. Well, I'm thinking about going tomorrow. Oh, but yeah, physically it's too much. Like for me,
go on.
For me, physically, it's too much for me. So I saw people on these like Santander bikes, and I was like, that's a look. If I could find a Santander bike, I could be part of that march because I ain't walking. I just can't physically do that walk. So, and people just on that bike with their little, like you see those black guys with their sliders on. You're like, really? You can't on your socks and your sliders? And it's on the bike.
Yeah.
That's all. It just leaves them on the side. So
it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. But yeah, that was my experience. Go ahead.
Well, it was my first ever protest. I've always wanted to be an activist. By the way,
it was my first protest.
Yeah.
I feel all experienced now.
Yeah, you feel like you're in a club. I've always wanted to be an activist, but I have never been an activist for anything. And I wanted to be
well, not a participating activist, but you active about things.
Well, I've never really done anything to change anything. I've had my opinions and my thoughts, but I've never actually done anything. I've signed maybe a couple of petitions, but but to actually do something.
Oh, physically.
But like I didn't, talking to you or you talking to me, that's between us, but it's not like helping, you know what I mean? Do something. So, and Black Lives Matter, I wanted to be a part of that for a long time. And well, you know, when you think about being an activist, you got to think about what you're passionate about. And I'm passionate about Black people. I'm passionate about women.
Things, isn't it, when you think about it?
You got to think about what it is. I'm passionate about women. I'm passionate about the water aid, the people in Africa getting clean water. And I'm passionate about pit bulls. They're part of my passion as well. But I've never done anything. So on Sunday, when I decided to go, I was already like not feeling great that week. So it was dependent on how I felt on the Sunday.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
and it was pissing down on Sunday. It was everything to tell you to not get up and go. And where I live, you know, that Sunday transport is a whole
shit.
Yeah, it's just I don't go out on a Sunday.
Sunday transport where you live is a culture in itself.
Yeah, if I go out, I go out to just walk around. I don't go shopping. I don't anyway. On that day, I was like, I felt nervous. I felt really anxious. So when you called me, I was like, I hope she's still going because I'm going to tell her that I'm going.
Yeah,
and then when you were like, yeah, I'm going. Yeah, because I didn't know if I was going to go. And I found mine. I just Googled Black Lives Matter, and in the area that you live in, and or anywhere, they'll have a list of where they're going to do the protest. Anyway. So yeah, I ended up going. I got there a bit like you. I got there a bit later than I wanted to because I missed my first bus. But
they're late.
I
didn't get there late.
No, later than you wanted to get there. You said.
Yes, actually, I wanted to get there at 1:30. You're right.
Yeah.
Just because I've never done it before, just to see. But yeah, I got there before 2, but I didn't. I left late. Yeah, I did. So now I know you don't need to do that.
Mine was supposed to start at 1:00, but it ended up starting at 1:30, so it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
But something that was really prevalent to me, something that I felt very self-conscious about. One of the things that I felt very self-conscious about this week.
This week or at the protest?
This to do with the protest, but through the week as well was. Oh shit! Sorry. I'm holding my camera. Am I facing you?
Yes, but why haven't you got it on the stand?
It is on the stand. It's just in my lap. It's just so I could be closer to it. Was when you said to me about being wary of taking a poster or a plaque because you're on your own.
Wait, that sounds so eloquent. I said that.
You said to me about. No, I put the nice words in. You're like no pictures, drawings.
I said be aware that your color of your skin makes you a target at these events. So just be aware that Egypt may turn up.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you said that you didn't feel comfortable taking like a poster, a sign.
Oh right, yes, I did.
By yourself, but if you were with someone.
I was with someone, yeah. Probably like 9 signs.
Yeah, and I thought about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I feel that way as well.
Though? Why was that? I'm not sure why. Because if I go tomorrow, I'm taking a sign. I think experience.
Oh yeah, now I would take a sign.
Breeds confidence in it, so I take a sign. I'm gonna put one around my neck.
I was like, I don't know. You don't know what to expect, but you know, it's like it felt like I felt the same way anyway. So I didn't take any sign. And let me tell you something. Knowing what to wear to a protest is a whole thing. You gotta take snacks. You gotta take water. You gotta have comfortable shit. They give you a list, and it's like you gotta have ID. You said there was one that had like a solicitor. Yeah, I had those ID. Put your next of kin. Like an emergency number, have a solicitor.
Yeah, the solicitor thing to write on your hand. That is definitely something. Can I just say that now to anyone who's listening? Go for it. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I put up on my Instagram account, my actual Instagram account, which is at Chantel Bancroft, is information that Black Lives Matter were telling you to do in an event of you getting arrested, which I have to say made me feel nervous about going. But on your hands. Yeah, they have 3 names of protest solicitors that you are to write on your hands. There's a number for you to contact, and you put all this on your arm. You write this when you're in custody. I don't see how when you're in custody they specialize in this
in protest.
Arrest.
Protest
so arrest.
Say it somewhere. Don't just ask for a solicitor because they won't know what to do.
That's why I put all 3 names and a phone number.
I would say. stitch it onto your clothes, because you're sweating,
That's
you're
true.
raining.
Yeah, have it somewhere
Better
on your
stitch it
person
onto,
and
like on your,
do it
even on like
before.
your knickers or something like that,
Yeah.
that someone
Do
can't
it.
really take off of you.
Do it before you go
Yeah.
out to the protest, because I think in custody your information is going to get taken from you and you won't have
Yeah.
time. So I wrote it on. But also, if you don't mind marker, do it with permanent marker on your skin. Pen, not reliable.
Well, yeah, but like that day it was really raining, and you said it rubbed off your skin, innit?
Gently as the day went on, and I was
Yeah.
wearing a windbreaker. And yes, you're right. What to wear? I had to think about that, and I thought, what would I want to feel?
Something.
I was like, what makes me feel
And they tell you to
as
dress
a woman and
nondescript.
protesty? Yes,
And you told me they said don't dress. Dress
nothing
nondescript. You said that.
identifiable and wear a mask. And I feel like the
Yeah.
mask was for dual reasons, because of the pandemic, and also so that you can't
And if you're black as well, yes.
Can I just tell you, all throughout the day, I saw the same police officer write notes as he looked at the crowd. And at one point, I was close enough to see, and I just couldn't see what he was writing. I was like, what the frick are you writing? There's too many people. But yes, if you're going to protest, you want to wear something that's light enough, because when you walk, you're going to heat up.
Yeah.
Wear your welly boots if you know it's going to rain. Pack some food. Pack some food and some fruit. Keep your sugars
like
up.
A sandwich, bro.
And
sandwich,
most
water,
people were wearing
chocolate.
black. Most people just instinctively wore black. I wore a black top with a hoodie. I wore a black dress and tied it into knots. It was a top, and it's a hoodie. I wore black jeans that are comfortable, my skinnies, and I wore my welly boots because I now can walk in that. And I wore a windbreaker. So it was one of those puffer vests.
Now it may seem menial what we're talking about, but on the day I was like,
and a waterproof fold-up jacket in my bag. Yeah.
How long am I going to be walking for?
Yeah.
How long am I going to be standing around for? Is it going to get colder? Is it going to keep raining? Am I going to get hot? Am I going to be able to? It's a whole. I mean, now I'd be a bit more like relaxed about it. But I wore my black joggers. I think this t-shirt, and then I wore my big coat. It was cold and it was raining, but my coat keeps me extra warm. And I thought I'd rather be warmer than cold. And my trainers, and then I used my headscarf as a mask.
Which you went back for, because I said to you.
I went back for it. I realized I'd left my window open. I was PMSing so bad. I came back out. I went home back twice. I turned back twice. And I thought, when I got to the bus, I was like, oh, shit, I didn't write this. This is like the most important thing I forgot to do. Yes. And I was like, I don't have a pen. Maybe someone at the protest will give me a pen. But anyway, I got there and there were a spattering of people. And I think as soon as I showed up there, I felt a bit emotional. No, when the people started talking. But there was definitely more white people than black people were there, which is definitely what you need to have. That is just
because we talked about that in the last.
To have more white people because white people listen to white people. So that's the thing. But
there was white people there that showed up. Sorry to cut you. That didn't bring a black person with them, and that surprised them. They were just a gang of white by themselves.
Yes.
That opened my eyebrow.
There was these two girls came up to me and they were nice enough to say, oh, we've got extra signs, do you want? They gave me a sign. I was like, oh, okay, this is great. And I said to you on the phone that when we were on the phone, I said to you, this is probably the first time for where I live that I've felt like I belong in this place. Like this, I belong right where I'm standing. Black Lives Matter is exactly where it's for me. It's for my people, for my culture, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they had a few speakers. There was one African man who spoke so well, and I've got the video of his speech. I don't know his name. I didn't get his name. The microphones were a bit in and out and blah, blah, but they did their best. But all in all, we did it. We kneeled as well. Oh, on the wet ground. When I got up, I felt the trickle of rain come down. I was like, okay, so this is like it's protest. We had a moment of silence and all that. There was a kid with a little boy with a poster that said, I'm 6'9" and I get it, why don't you? There was a guy that had a dog, a deluxe dog that said,
we had a dog. Yeah, there was a dog.
Like
there was a dog walking out of a sign. I thought that was good.
But as the because I didn't know what to expect. So I thought to myself, like I'm if I don't know what's happening, I like to know what's happening. So I'm like, what after this? Do we go home or are we about to walk? I mean, I didn't know what was gonna happen. So it was talking for a while, and so many people were there already. I looked around, I was so shocked and surprised. All different people, all different ages, blah blah. And then after we knelt down, we started to walk, and then it just began. What I feel like we walked about 6 miles. I wasn't expecting that. I stopped I stopped like once. I had my chocolate on me at that. But what was so nice about it was that we were all chanting, we're holding up our signs, and I was reading a lot of the signs, and like you said, there were white people who were just there, another white person, and I thought to myself,
that was something in it.
yeah. And I and as we were walking, apparently I said to you, we shut down the motorway. Didn't realize. I thought the road had been opened up, but our destination, we were walking, we went through all the residential areas. The people outside the window, when we were in the road, people were beeping their horns. They were doing, all this, and they were shouting. It was really a really good energy. We were shouting back to them, and I have to say, it was it felt very empowering. It felt really right to be there. I felt like I was fighting for myself, for my people, for the culture. And at the end of it, I was absolutely exhausted, but happy. It was really satisfying. So on my way home, again, I had this sign and I hid it. Because I thought I had all these things in my mind, like, are people going to know to try to protest? Is that going to bring trouble to me? Is the bus man going to stop for me if he sees that I've got one thing? And I was like, this is what we're fighting. This right there, that thing of having to dilute yourself in order to be okay. And most of the time it's for you thinking about your safety. So this is the big thing that I felt really self-conscious about. So I was really inspired. And I thought to myself, I'd like to put my poster in my window.
At home.
So at home. So this is what my poster. I don't know if it will come up like yours, but I can't see it.
Somebody painted it black and put a VA even like a proper board. Somebody went in.
I wanted to put that in my window.
You should.
Since Sunday.
You haven't done it.
And I thought to myself, I have so many reservations about this, and I'll tell you why. I live in I want to say predominantly white, but it is a white.
Can I say the word super white?
It is super white. It is a white neighborhood. Yeah. I think I'm the only black person on my street, but there's Asians on the other side. It's nice to see them Asians, but I like seeing them Asians. Brown is brown, isn't it? Brown is brown. And you know what? They're the ones who have the houses, and the white ones have the rentals. I just say. But I thought my issue, so I did write it down. My issue was not only do I live in a predominantly white neighborhood, but it almost felt like I was putting a target on my house.
As in for trouble.
Yeah.
That's a real emotion. Thing. I think that's an emotion in itself that I don't know what the word would be. But
then I thought about this. I keep seeing the NHS rainbow posters for the support for the NHS during COVID, etc., for the last few months. And I get that. And I understand it. But my support for my own culture and my color and the real brutality and lives that are being lost, violence, rape, discrimination, that's a real thing. But why do I not feel comfortable to put that up, my Black Lives Matter, which it does, but I'd feel comfortable to put up the NHS one? Why aren't more people putting in their window Black Lives Matter? Why isn't that happening? It's kind of a twofold question there. And I feel like to put up an NHS sign, I'm not going to get questions. I'm not going to be targeted. It's accepted to do that. But to put a Black Lives Matter, it just feels like you're creating. To me, it just feels. I'm not saying anything would happen, but it's just how internally it feels to me like. Are you sure that's what you want to do? You want to highlight that you're the Black person who lives here. You want to highlight that.
Do you feel like it will embarrass your neighbors, as in it will make them think about what they think about, and you don't want to embarrass anyone? Is that part of it?
No, it's more that it's highlighting me. And I don't know.
I think I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, when everybody here who doesn't identify as Black, right, but does identify as white, goes home, on the way home, they're going to carry those banners, right? People who are Black are going to contemplate whether or not they should put that banner away.
Yeah.
They're going to contemplate. I thought about whether or not, if I go on Friday, if I'm going to wear my sign from up here.
Yeah.
Right. And it was actual decision. And why I'm saying that is because these are the everyday, minute, micro decisions that Black people make on a continuous, like a mouse on a wheel, continuously. And I think that individuals who are white do not understand how much this is our every moment of thinking. You know what I mean? It's our every moment. And I don't think that is so much discussed, or that they get that this is the crux of the problem, because this is what we're talking about, is what we've been talking about in our community on the down low, on the quiet, for years. Your parents talk about it, you overhear your parents, and your parents discuss things with you as you get older, because you can understand it. They warn you about things. It's a continual thing. You go to work, you're wondering, like, how Black can I be at work? Like, that's a serious thing. Like, I'm a Black person at work, but I have to be
especially when you're the only Black person.
And I've been the only Black person in two places that I worked at, and you're very much like, I'm a Black person, but I don't want you to see me as a Black person today. I just want you to see me as Chantel on the shop floor. You know what I mean? I'm very aware that anything I do is gonna be relatable to what people think the stereotype is for being Black, who Black people are. So you carry yourself in a completely different way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just Chantel on the shop floor. I'm not Chantel the Black girl, because I don't bring any of that out. I'm not sure how that's going to be perceived or received. So you're always dampening down your, like you said, you're diluting your Blackness. And I don't know how to explain that to everybody who isn't white, everybody who isn't Black, to understand how much this is just how it's in our DNA.
Yeah, because for me, I'm thinking of people who come to do repairs, post, and I'm like, I don't want to be profiled. I don't want to be racially profiled. I don't want you to know that I'm Black before you get to my door. I don't know how your mind thinks
it's gonna work. Yes.
Yeah, and that's the place of like discomfort for me. And I all I've been thinking about is, should I then put it in the back window so not as many people see it? Would it then be like, if there's a racist attack, they're gonna come after my house? It's a real concern, and I'm like, I probably will end up not putting it up, but I am going to take that to my next protest or frame it, because the first one, and I would like to be making my own. But
do you think that this is why white people are demonstrating, or do you think this is something they don't get?
I think some white people do get it. I think white people who have taken the time to get it as much as they can. They're aware of what's going on, and it's like being able to say, well, what would that situation have been like if I was Black, or what research have I done? So I do think there's a lot of white people who get it as much as, like, it's like, I can understand the privilege of being white, but I can't fully understand what that is, because there's a certain part of it that can't comprehend it.
Well, there's that part that I can't comprehend is why as a human being you would do that. That's the part of me that doesn't get it.
But
that's also based on my culture, because in my culture we wouldn't do certain things.
Yes, but I mean in terms of not thinking about certain things. Not having to dilute, not having to think, prepare yourself. I remember,
or like not saying the word, like not saying white people around white people. That for a long time, that is something that you say it on the white people. And then, like I said to you, I had that revelation where I was like, nah, Dread, sorry, I'm sorry. Like, I need to feel free to be able to say white people wherever I go. Because in America, they say white people. And I'm like, it is transformative. When you feel like you can speak about something that you see in front of you. I shouldn't feel afraid to say white people, or, yeah, I was around these white people on Friday in a bus. And for many, many, many years, I would quieten myself, especially when I'm talking to people I know. And you wouldn't say white people. Now I say white people all the time. In fact, I do it on purpose. Even when I'm feeling nervous, I do it because I'm like, I need to not be that person that is afraid to use the term white people
and
in a public space.
That is true.
It's taken years, you know.
I know. I was there. I remember. Now you say it loud.
When I was like, yeah, it's a white.
Yeah, I remember. But part of, just to end off what
That's my protest.
Putting the poster in the window.
What are you gonna do then?
I don't know. I don't feel like. Also, like I said before, it's not a point of me being there. It's the point of the repercussions. I don't know what repercussions there would be. Like I said, I am the only black person on my line in the street. If I want to see Brian, I've got to look on the opposite road. And I don't know
you're there, innit? So like,
yeah,
but some white people don't see you as black. You realize that, innit? Like you're the other kind of black, the black that isn't rude, doesn't keep a lot of noise, fits in with everything.
But that's the thing. It's like it becomes awkward for me, because if it's in the window, then I know that maybe they're thinking about it and trying not to talk about it. That's one thing. And then you've got like if I put it in the window and I see, and I'm proud of it, and I think to myself, why is this not as acceptable to put in the window, but the NHS thing is? And I think it's because white people accept the NHS thing. And why am I scared to put this in? Because I don't know if they'll accept that it's there and leave me alone, if they'll ask questions, if they'll think differently, if they'll want to say something. I already think there's like a racist woman on my line. You know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about. But it's just it's something I have to think about. It's something I almost just like not bringing attention to myself more than I do, because in reality I still am one of the only black people who live in this whole thing, the street I live on. So maybe after my second protest I'll be like, no.
Maybe I think you have to feel that little part of you. There was a part of me on that day, as I was getting ready to go, that felt that I'm prepared to die today to get for this event. There was a little part of me that was like, yeah, I'm prepared to die today. I'm prepared to get hurt today, to be part of this event. And it went through my mind so quickly, and I was like, why? And part of it was like, why are you going there? And I was like, because that's how I feel. That's how I felt. And that little insurgence had me when I was traveling to the train station, I was like, and I sat in the train, I was like, Do you know what I mean? There's a part of you that knows that you're at a point. I don't know if you felt that, but I was at a point where I was like, a life may have to be lost today. Not to that, not heavy like, oh my God, I'm prepared to, but just a preparation that you're going to this event knowing that there's a great chance you may not make it home, or you may get locked up. Do you want to go? And saying yes is acknowledging that may happen, and I'm okay, and part of me is at peace with that. I don't know how to explain it except that, but it
felt really. I've been looking for more. My feet were aching. So many times I was like, should I like head home? Because like you said, I was running on fumes.
Yeah, I was like, but part of me doesn't want to go home, innit?
I didn't want to go home. I did not expect to walk. And where we walked the long way. And I was like, I didn't even know this existed. But part of me was like, I just want to stay here. I want to do this. I want to be part of it. And I stopped chanting to preserve my energy. I become like crocodile, started to preserve my energy by just walking slowly. But people started to get, the energy was waning a bit, because we were tired. But I literally couldn't see where it began to where it ended. There was so many people. There had to be
Yeah.
at least 2,000 people. So that was a good turnout.
That is a very good turnout for your
That was
area.
great. Yeah. So congratulations. I'm proud of you that you went on your first protest, and I'm proud of myself as well.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I wanted to be able to tell the grandkids. That is literally what got me there. Like I was like, there are some things in life that you know you have to be at. And I felt like I had to be at this thing. And I was like, I just feel like I had to be there. I want to be able to talk about it, experience it, and then tell the grandkids. That was what I felt a responsibility. And so I know last week in the other episode we were talking about what this protest actually like. Are they going to do anything in the long run? And for me, I understand that. I think it's just a sense of like, it's that strong sense of solidarity. It really is just.
Oh yes, let's talk about that for 1 minute because sorry, you just reminded me. When we were talking about the blackout Tuesday,
Yeah.
that we learned a little bit more information, or I learned, and I said to you. Yeah, so I found out. I first of all I didn't realize it was happening until like a few days before, and I didn't really understand what it was about because the thing I got was, don't buy from any people who aren't your color on that day, something like that. Just don't buy it. Don't give to the mass or whatever. Apparently, the Blackout Tuesday was
on
to
Instagram.
highlight. Yes, and it was on TV as well. A lot of people did it on YouTube as well. They didn't post videos over. What? Sorry, I can't. It was for something about Naziness is happening. It was about. Oh, the TV's on. It was
TV
about.
We're recording professional.
You got to create an ambience. You got to create an
with Nazi ambience.
I just see some of the news. People doing like Heil and all that. It was actually to promote black-owned businesses, so it was for you.
Yeah, but I didn't know that. People weren't doing that because of that.
I didn't understand what it was about, and that's apparently what it was about.
People were using the hashtag Black Lives Matters. They weren't using the hashtag Shop at Black Shops. They weren't using that.
Okay, so
it was in honor and solidarity.
Apparently, if you did the blackout and then you put Black Lives Matter underneath, that was the wrong thing to do, because when people went to tweet or went to connect to Black Lives Matter on Instagram or wherever, it would come up with it would come up on the blackout, so it was going to the wrong place. So that was the thing. I didn't know.
Was the blackout supposed to identify who's going to shop at a black business?
No, it was to just say like, it was to just be like solidarity, highlighting black-owned business, like to say.
How does it highlight it?
Black
it didn't
people.
say.
This is what I read.
Don't you think it should have been take a screenshot of a black-owned business and put it up on your feed?
Maybe, but you said it came from a music thing, didn't you?
Yeah, because I heard it first on Versus. They were trying to decide what they wanted to do, and they decided that they were gonna like cancel the Tuesday thing and put a solidarity. So maybe some people were doing it for that.
Solidarity.
Some people were not.
Solidarity of black-owned.
But they didn't say solidarity of black-owned business. It was solidarity.
I don't know. It's just what I read.
George Floyd. It wasn't like, I didn't know that. But that brings me on to my next thing. Have we got time to talk about my next thing? What's on your list?
What time?
When I said to you last week, I got something to tell you.
How much time is it?
20 minutes.
To go?
Yeah, I was not long, you know.
I got stuff to talk about, you know. No, you don't have time. Sorry. It's my thing. If you got time, yeah, you do it.
In response to the Instagram thing.
Oh, okay, go on. We've got to add a little bit more time then.
Yeah, I guess so. Let me say it quickly.
Or just be quick, yeah.
So I follow a few people on YouTube and Instagram who are not black, right? Mm-hmm. And two separate things happened that incensed me, and I was trying to figure out why. And then someone said something, and I was like, "That's why I feel bad." So I'm not gonna out the person on YouTube who did it, but I'm gonna talk about the experience. So on her channel is very successful. And on her, if you've got a certain amount of people, subscribers on your YouTube channel, you're able to do this thing called community, where you can put posts up, just like you would on Instagram, with information and then links to like a video you're going to do or a poll or whatever. I have that, but you can do it. And so I was scrolling through YouTube and I saw in there, and she said, everybody leave a link. Let's highlight black designers, that black owned businesses by designers that you know put a name and a link of a designer in the box below this and give them a shout out. My face went stone. I have a problem with that. I had a problem with that.
Because
okay. I'm gonna add that on, right? So let me just do this next one. There's a person that I found on Instagram that I've known for a while, and I'm not gonna out that person either. And because I decided not to leave a comment under that, but I will say I did add myself to that list. Right?
okay.
I just added myself and my channel to that list. But I didn't say thank you or thumbs up. I just added it, right? And then there was another person on Instagram who said that the words were, I don't know if you'll ever listen to this episode, but I didn't say anything because I realized if I said something, it's not going to come out pretty and I could end up losing people. That's why I didn't say anything on hers and I didn't say anything on this person. Basically said, I don't know many black artists. That was the first line. Personally, but these are the ones, follow these people, right? Or go shop from these people. And on his, I feel like I'm actually outing him by putting all the information he had on there. And then he had on the post, it said buy from black artists. So I'm just going to quickly tell you why I was incensed by both at two different times. So the person on YouTube, and I'm a very polite person that we were brought up to always say thank you when you thought someone was giving you a handout. But I could not bring myself to add a thank you underneath putting my details under there because I felt like you have a huge channel, right? And I've been following your channel for a good year or so, and you have never talked about black designers, as far as I know, or you've never put up in your community section to highlight specific races, right? Specifically black. I'm like, why are you doing this now? That was my first instance. And the second one with the person on Instagram, I have not even responded to that mention. I haven't responded to it at all. And I couldn't put my feeling on what really upset me. And then someone said something somewhere I was listening to, and it was the guy on that was accepting the speech from the BAFTAs when he talked about
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, his speech is it's worth listening to. And he said something, and I was like, he said this line: people of color are not looking for handouts. They just want to be acknowledged for the work that they do. And I was like, that's what's been upsetting me. I feel like you're giving me a handout now. Now you're giving me handouts when you had all year round to do your job of finding different people of different races to ask people to highlight either on Instagram or on your YouTube feed. You had the time to do that, but you never did it. And now you're doing it, and it's almost like it's not insulting, but I know
that's what's happening most of the time.
I'm insulted by it because I'm just like also the person who gave me a shout on Instagram, I don't know him personally. We're like social media buds, right? And I'm thinking I don't remember you ever giving me a shout out on your feed in all the time that we know each other, and we're both in the creative field and we know each other because of that. And today I get one because why? And it incensed me. But we don't want to, I think, ask black people what they want. Like you said last week. Find a black person and ask them, what is it you want me to do?
Okay. So that's one of the things I want to talk about. I didn't write it down, but that's exactly what I want to talk about. So all of that. I think that is now going to be the issue. So I saw something today. It was a video of people in America. I think it's Nancy Pelosi. I think so.
I don't know that name.
And it's the government in America. Basically, Pelosi, I think her name is. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi, white lady.
Yeah, I think it was her. But it was about 10 of their cabinet or whatever it's called, and they came out and they were wearing what are called kintes, basically African fabric.
The cloth.
Yeah, they were all wearing it, and they all did
I saw that picture, and I couldn't work out what I was looking at. What? Can you explain it?
So it was in solidarity. They were wearing the kente.
And
they
wrong move.
Okay, so Kev says,
oh my God, who? There was no blacks around to say, is this okay? Is this cool?
Okay, this is it. But that is when it's called whites doing too much. It's just called doing too much. And basically it's just like, but why? I understand where it came from, but if it isn't coming from us and what we need, then it doesn't need to be done.
I liken that
at the end of the day. Sorry, go.
I know. I liken that to when humans get in the way of animals living their life, because every human wants to save an animal, and that we don't take the time. We've been criticized for this. We don't take the time to think about whether or not that animal needs us to intervene, or if we should just sit on the sides. We always want to own something, right? And I think in that situation, that is a white individual who probably is that much like the people on YouTube and Instagram that I just talked about. I assume that they were doing it from a good place, right? I don't want to say that they weren't, but it's sort of like you're doing what you think you need to do.
Right. So that's what I've just written down here, because it means something to you.
Yes, because it feels like the natural next thing
place,
to do. Yeah,
it's an good intention, but if your good intention for someone else only means something to you, then was it really a good intention? Was it a good result? Now, it was very amusing. It was very amusing to see that, because I was like, this is like a movie. And a part of me was like, I think you guys are really good.
I couldn't work out what I didn't think it was real, because I'm like, or a sketch or something.
Well, what was interesting to me, well, I had a few other things. A part of me was like, okay, I get it. I understand. You're trying to show your solidarity. I get that, and I appreciate that. That's fine. And another part of me, Boris Johnson just refuses to brush his hair, bro. Another part of me, he's got a girl,
and it's just growing. You know, it's just growing.
Out, yeah,
it's like he's like, no, it's like I'm depressed through this too, and I'm just gonna do my hair. Everyone's got quarantine hair, isn't it? Everyone's going for the quarantine hair experience where you're feeling depressed, yeah, and your hair is showing it. You've all got quarantine hair.
I saw it and I thought, this is really interesting, because I didn't read it. I just saw the clip, so I didn't read the context around it. Yeah, you very easily you'll find it.
What do I type
And I thought to myself, just put what did I say her name was?
Pelosi. I don't know how to spell that.
Pelosi, Polizi. Her name's gone out of my head now. Nancy Pelosi, I think it was her. But what went through my head was, first of all, this was like a movie. Second of all, I like that you're doing it because you feel like it means something to us. I do appreciate that. Third of all, who asked you to do this? And in the time that it's taking you to do this, you could have maybe done something that we asked you to do. Number 3 or 4, I don't know what I'm up to. You're kneeling, and that's a nice thing, and that's great. That's a nice thing, and that's
so
great.
She kneeled.
They all did, like about 10 of them kneeled. That's great. And you've got the I didn't know it was called a kente. You've got that on. And I thought,
oh, I've got it. This was the image I saw. Wait, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna put it on the screen. This was the image. Do you see that?
You've got a Beyonce stance, okay.
This is the image I saw, and I was bewildered.
I don't know the context, so I'm not speaking contextually. So I don't know why that it went through. What if someone requested that? If it came back through black people.
She is kneeling.
Yeah, she had to literally get help to get up, which was crazy. She's like 80, you know. But what was interesting to me, what kind of went through my mind was that, as a black person with Caribbean heritage.
Yes, I feel like you chose your words very carefully there.
As a black person, obviously my ancestors are African, obviously. Everyone's is.
Oh, your ancestors are African, yeah.
Yes. But as a black person with Caribbean heritage, as a lot of black people are, even though in media you're either Jamaican or you're African.
Yeah, you can't be anything. You know what I mean? But as we know, everybody on this earth has African in their ancestry, no matter what color you are.
Yeah.
Everybody does. But go ahead.
I kind of felt like,
were you incensed, offended?
I wasn't offended. I wasn't incensed. I just thought to myself, when you do that,
Mm-hmm.
are they doing it like?
Who are you trying to please?
It felt to me like they were saying, we accept that there was slavery. That's how it felt. Because the Africans
all the way
coming
back
over.
there.
That's right. Because they chose the kente. Maybe the kente means something that I don't know. Like, I don't know much about it, just that it looks like an African print and it looks really nice. But I just thought to myself, you're blocking out a black ethnicity, but there's a lot of different black ethnicities. And does that one kente
Yes, it represents
kind of
everyone.
cover us, all of us?
Yes.
But
yes.
like I said, I don't know if the kente is like a fabric that the style is meant for peace, or it's like for Kwanzaa.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if it represents. No. All I'm saying is I don't know if it represents something that is a global thing for black culture.
Everything.
So she was wearing it thinking, oh, this is gonna show them that I care.
No,
I don't know.
Every class,
every
family, every African, every family, has a tribe, and the cloth is related to the tribe. It has meaning for a tribe. Unlike us West Indians, we do not have, not that we don't have tribes, because we do, but we don't have, we have our own cloth, but it's not in the same, I mean, it's where solidarity as in the African, which is why I don't wear African fabric, because it's not. I'm not African. I don't have a tribe within
our
that
heritage
culture.
is Caribbean.
Our heritage is Caribbean, right? And my ancestry, part of my ancestry is African, but part of my ancestry is also Indian. Amer Indian, as every West Indian is. And the small percentage is of African ancestry. So I don't wear a cloth that I don't understand, basically. If I don't know the history of the cloth and it isn't related to me in some way, shape, or form, I'm not going to wear it. Same with Indian. I've been to an Indian wedding and I bought something specifically in honor of the culture that I was going to. You see me wear that since? No, because it's not my culture. You know what I mean? I may go on high street and buy something that feels a little Asian, but that's been watered down, innit? Like H&M watered down. But to pick up the fabric from someone I don't know, I would have to feel okay about that culture for me to be able to wear it and sport it.
Can you type it in? Can you Google it? What does it mean, that fabric?
I actually Googled kente cloth the other day because I'm designing some prints, some Caribbean inspired prints, and I was using it as as inspiration. I like the print placement.
Maybe it's.
Do you want me to read it?
I don't know.
Kente cloth, known as, I cannot pronounce that word, I cannot pronounce that word, is an indigenous Ghanaian textile made of interwoven cloth strips of silk and cotton. Kente is made in Akan lands in Ghana from the historic Ashanti Kingdom, including the towns of Bonwire, Adanwomese, I could be saying that wrong, Sakora, Wanu, and Tononso, if I don't know if I pronounced it right, in the Kawabre areas of the Ashanti region. What is the meaning of the cloth? Akans refer to kente as a word I can't pronounce, meaning woven cloth. It's Akan royal and sacred cloth worn in times of extreme importance and was the cloth of kings. Over time, the use of kente became more widespread, as is every African cloth. So it denotes the importance, the meaning behind the culture, what that tribe stands for.
That one's worn in an important time.
Every tribe is of royalty. Every tribe is of royalty. You know what I mean? Like there's a head of every tribe. That's the tribe. You know what I mean? So
but I guess because it said in times of importance, so that's why it was like to say. I understand that. I guess that's what it was.
I get you, but anyway, you don't wear it any other time of the year. I think that the issue that I have, I know we're gonna run over, but we're just gonna run over. I think the problem that I have with this knee-jerk response to what's going on from people who are intentionally trying to be supportive. It's the wrong kind of support. And it begs the question, what were you doing before to show it? Because as
Well,
blacks, we're always living it, right? And
yes,
if you
but
have
if
if you have people in your, if you're a white person and you have people who are black in your immediate circle, you've heard some of these conversations, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have black in your immediate, what were you doing? Like, what was your knowledge base? What were you doing? And do you
Mm-hmm.
think that what you're doing now is enough, or do you feel shame and it's coming out of that? I'd rather you not do nothing. I really do. I'd rather you just don't do nothing, or you say, how can I show my solidarity? Because now everybody on Instagram who has a company now, I heard this other woman who is she sells very high end jewelry, and she had in her post, yeah, we're supportive of all the things that are going on, and we've realized that within our business and our system, and she had a picture of all the models she's had up earrings. One person was black, right? I've been following this woman for a while, so I know who she uses. And she said, we've realized that we have been narrowing our focus, aka only using white, because I can read between the lines of a white person trying to pass the buck, or say that I'm not responsible. We have been narrowing our focus, aka I can tell you what that means. We only use white people, and we realize now they don't look good, and so we're going to be changing that. But if you work in the fashion industry and you own a company and you actually have professional models modeling your shit, you know how hard it is for black people to get ahead in that industry. You know, and you're still not doing anything about it. You know why? Because it doesn't impact you or the sales of your things. Because within every industry, you still have to tone down your blackness and the use of it, as I do. I have had problems. I've been on the phone with you because when I'm writing my pitch to wholesalers, right, to retailers, how black can I be in my pitch? I've literally sat there and taken things out, knowing that I'm applying to stores who don't have ethnic ethnic inspired things in their store. So I never know where to go. And so I'd literally taken things out of my pictures that I felt were too black. At one point you said to me, why do we even need to say Caribbean inspired? And I was like, I don't know. I thought maybe, I don't know. Like, we've discussed this. I've taken it out of my pitch. This is an everyday thing. I'm always toning down. Always toning down. If I go to a store and I can't see myself in that store, I don't know whether or not I'm going to be accepted by you. Although now I might have an opportunity now in it. People might be like, no, we need some things in here.
Oh, no, yeah. But I think one of the problems, the next thing is going to be that white people doing what they think is right rather than asking black people, what do you need? What needs to happen? Because the person who I saw this clip, the clip was Kev on stage, and he was right. He was saying, we don't need that. We need to change legislation.
How is Kev?
He's so cute. He's just so cute. I signed up to his Patreon now. I'm glad I have. I feel like, yeah, I'm gonna keep going. He went out to protest with his wife as well. He's just so cool. He's just so cute.
Their little family's actually.
But yeah,
I like them.
Yes, very sweet.
What's the other name of the other guy?
Oh, Doughboy.
How is he doing?
He seems to be doing okay. I haven't seen him on anything. He's taken a little bit of a hiatus, but he comes and does some of the videos.
Okay.
Yeah, the old death. I wasn't worried. I was just like, yeah, I was just like, oh, I wonder what happened. But I don't think he relapsed. I think maybe it was like he just thought, you know what, let me just take some time. And that's the best preventative measures.
Is to just
measures.
Out. If you're not sure who we're talking about, what's the name of their podcast?
Righteous and Ratchet. Yeah. They're part of the All Deaf crew. They're alarm enough. But yeah, okay, next. Let's get on to the next thing. So
I'm gonna reset it. I'm gonna reset it for another 20
half
minutes.
An hour.
Oh, okay. How many things you got on your list? Are we halfway through?
I've got a couple more things. Yeah, we're pretty close.
Go on then.
I think just to add to your the last thing, is that number one, white people need to ask what we need.
Yeah.
Not just kind of put out what they think.
They're not qualified to know. You know what I mean? They're not qualified to know. Because their experience of the black experience is as an observer. And so as an observer, you've got your own opinion on how things should be better. But it's not the opinion of the person who's actually going through the experience. So they can tell you all the little details that you have that you don't see. So, yeah. And it's not necessarily that I'm deeply offended, but but there is some kind of offense to it. And I do, like, I just chose not to make a remark because I was like, it's not going to come out pretty. And like, I will not know how to say this in a way that doesn't hurt you. And I don't think I need to try to. And really, am I the person that's supposed to teach you? But this has to be the responsibility of someone else. I'm not personally involved with you. I don't know you. You're not a personal friend. If you were a personal friend, I'd DM you on the side and say, you know what I mean? Why don't you know many black artists? And that's the one I wanted to put underneath that. I was like, well, why don't you know? The question is why? Why have you only got 4 names to put up? Four names.
Well, just to backtrack for a minute and talk about when you said the woman said that they've been narrow-minded or something. What did you say?
Yeah, they've been narrowing their focus.
Yeah, so that's one of the segments I want to talk about. This whole thing that I've kind of constructed, this theory that I have about when I said to you about white apology, the white promise. I want to just break it down what I've kind of come to. And so over, like, not just now, but obviously everything's so prevalent right now to do with race and all that I've actually had to sometimes stop myself from, like, analyzing things. It's like a little muscle goes off inside me. I'm like, I can't. How do I feel about this? What does that mean? What does she mean by that? It's like I have to stop myself. It's quite draining. There's a lot going on. But anyway, I'm watching a lot of videos, and there's something that you just brought up there, which I want to talk about, which is this thing where companies are kind of suddenly bought. Can you still see me? Am I a bit too dark?
You're darker now. The light's faded, but it's okay. I think we're all right.
I'll put it on the screen. I'm not close. I'm not
How's
close
that?
to mine.
Good?
Yeah, you're good. And your light is shining on me, so that's great. Yeah, so there's this thing. I mean, I read this thing.
Not it's shining on you virtually, not in actuality. You're still. Oh no, it's
Yeah,
actually shining on you.
it is. Yeah, it is on me. Yeah.
I was about to tell you, like, no, we're in 2 different places. But I can actually wait. You won't be able to see it.
What's different?
When you turn on the light, it does. I just did that, but I'm not with you. I'm sorry, I'm having a moment. You know, like, the things that I met are really move me.
So I also read an article the other day about just long story short, there was a magazine. I can't remember what it's called, but it was a fashion magazine where there was a segment, and it was called African Queen, and it was a white woman who had on this blue suit or whatever, blah blah, and her skin had been tanned, and people were obviously up in arms about it because, like
heavily
Queen,
tanned,
like, what?
like blackface tanned. Like,
no, not blackface tanned, but tanned. And it's like, no, but why is there a white woman and you're saying African Queen? Like, where's this coming from? Anyway,
white people would say that they're African too, you know. The ones who don't.
They are African.
I am African.
But the same way that they say that we're English. And even though I am British and I have a right to be here, and I truly believe that black people were always all over the world.
Oh yeah, well we were voyagers. We were the Vikings.
The difference is
that I haven't. Well, not the Vikings. The Vikings used to go to different places and actually pillage and take. There's a very romantic view about Vikings, you know, that you see on TV.
We can't get into because it's only 20 minutes.
But I just want to say, if you do your research on Vikings, it's not so romantic.
No, it's horrible. It's not good. It's not nice.
And when did you not start braiding your hair? Where did you get that from? I hate that when you're watching these. No, I'm sorry. We're watching these Viking programs, like these Viking dramas, and everyone's got their hair braided, and I'm like, where did you go to learn how to braid hair?
Obviously, yes.
But
anyway, if someone says, "Oh yeah, there's white Africans," it's like maybe, but I've never tried to appropriate.
There are white Africans.
I've never tried to appropriate your culture. That's not an issue. You can't come back at me and say this isn't fair when all you've done is not be fair. That doesn't work like that.
But the whole reason why Queen was associated with African was in order to rise up. It was a way to rise up, and you know what I mean. It was like just to predicate that we are from kings and queens, and we should be thinking higher and think of ourselves as royalty. You hold your head up. You don't look down, you look up.
So there was a lot of controversy, and her apology was basically saying, unfortunately, there's not a lot of black models. That's what she said.
Oh my goodness me. You see,
So
what's that
leads,
called?
wait, don't go into it. Tiffany leads on to this thing that I've worked out here. So that would be an example of what I call.
You got me upset this evening. And I've run out of
I call.
Oh yeah, what's your terminology? We're gonna have to start doing an index. What's your terminology?
I got a little index here, I write down.
What's your glossary?
So basically she's saying the spattering of there wasn't any apology. Basically she was just saying, unfortunately there's not a lot of black models, and that's just the way it is, and we all know that's bullshit.
Did she say it with a straight face?
I just saw
that's ignorant. That's what I call ignorant. Can we call it white ignorance?
I don't think that's ignorance. I think that's a lie.
Yeah.
I think it's just a lie. You know.
Yeah, but to tell that lie to an audience that knows as well as you do that isn't true, what is that?
That is race. I don't know if that's racism, but that right there, what you just said right there.
White lines. You can call it white lines.
But hold on, that right there is when you see the video of the person being murdered by the police, and yet somehow they can say we don't have video, and it's like, but we've seen it, and they're like, no, that's called gaslighting.
Is that? I feel like that's a term already. You didn't make that up.
That's gaslight. No, I didn't. That's gaslighting. But let me go through these. Okay. So I've kind of come up with these terms that just come to mind over these last few weeks, but over a few months. So
you got some music over the top.
No, it's not going to be that long. So the first one is I'm going to talk about the white apology. Now, this tends to happen when, for example, someone puts out racist tweets or like old racist tweets or something like that, and or the situation where you've got a Karen. Do you know what a Karen is? White Karen?
Oh, I have been seeing people that was up on the boards when I went, and then hearing people talk about this Karen, and I have no idea who this Karen is. I think I've seen her, but I don't know who she is or what
so Karen is like a nickname for the white women who kind of just get up in your business for no reason.
Oh, Karen.
So she's the one that will see a barbecue happening in the middle of a park, and you're black, and she'll put it. It's not all white. It's not all.
Why Karen? Why the name Karen?
I guess it's just very much a white woman name. I think, but they're called Karens.
I would have gone for Tracy.
So, for example, Shan, you've made a timer. I don't understand what's happening. You have to put this up on the internet.
We're gonna run over. We're gonna go through your points. We're gonna run over. But then isn't that more of a Tracy?
It doesn't matter. Oh, the names. It
does.
Okay. Wow. But anyway, for example, Karen is like the woman who was in the Central Park and she called the police on the black guy. Karen is like when she called the police on the little 8-year-old black boy because she thought he molested her, whatever. So the white apology basically. Okay. White apology is basically when they've been put out, they've been put up on the internet, they're being dragged, or they've been fired from their job. That usually is what happened. They get fired from their job. And then what happens, the process is that they go on TV, they give a very tearful appearance on the news, they explain their actions, they kind of say, oh, I shouldn't have been that way, blah, blah, blah. And then they apologize, but they apologize to everyone but the black victim, or they apologize to the black victim last, or they apologize to the black victim, but they don't use their name. So they never actually apologize to the person. If I punch you in the face and you're in hospital and I get caught out, I'm not going to apologize to the nurses around you. I'm not going to apologize to your family.
That's privilege in itself. Privilege is not admitting that you were wrong.
I'm going to learn your name. But part of it is learning that person's name, because when you feel like you've done something wrong and you want to apologize, you go all out to apologize. And the fact that they don't learn that person's name, it's just like,
generic.
I'm just apologizing because I got caught out.
I put that under privilege.
That is the white apology.
If you're privileged, you've being sincere is not something that is taught to you. Like, you haven't been taught the importance of
There is
being
no
sincere.
sincerity there.
Yeah.
You're apologizing because you got caught out, not because
you
you
got
actually
caught
accept
out.
that what you did was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Onwards from that, we've got we've got the kind of white forgiveness. Now, white forgiveness comes from, in that example, they've done something terribly wrong. We know that it was racist. We know that we took offense to it because it was prejudice, it was racist, you were targeted. And then that person apologizes, and you are told, well, they've apologized now. We all need to accept it and move on. That is white forgiveness. Oh, it doesn't matter that this
shuts you down.
me.
It shuts you down.
Yeah.
So shut you down. It's like, what more
And
do you want now? What more do you want?
all, and it's like, hold on. So I don't get to say if I thought that this was, or to know that this was forced. I understand where this apology came from, and as a white person, you don't get to tell me that I should just be like okay with, or any race. You don't get to tell that person just because someone's. You know how many people in a standard person life has apologized and not meant it? It's like all the time. It's just a word. Saying it doesn't mean that it actually came from your heart. It doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
So that is the white forgiveness. They've apologized. We have to believe they mean it. And I'm like, I don't have to believe they mean it. And move on. Next one is we've got the white promise or declaration. So that comes when, again, when let's say an actor or a singer or performer or something, there's old tweets that have come that were racist.
Always them old tweets, isn't it?
I don't know why. They're always racist. They're always old racist tweets. I don't know why.
And they're always old racist tweets. It's like, what else? What else did you have going on?
If they're talking about a white person in the news being fired, I know that it was because of old racist tweets. That is my first option, and it's always that. But anyway, the white promise and declaration is basically when that happens and the studio has fired the person. As we know, they haven't fired them because they're racist. They fired them because they don't want to be dragged down. That's the first thing. But basically, it's when they've either fired a person for their racist tweets or they've been called out for their lack of diversity, one or the other. And the promise or the declaration is that they're now going to support or may have a more diverse environment. Or they don't stand for any kind of discrimination. That's why that person's gone, blah blah blah. And it's just one of those things where I think, hold on a minute, but didn't you know this before? Why didn't you declare this to yourself before? Why did you have to be now in the limelight that your actor has been fired or that you've been called out for the lack of diversity on your show or behind the scenes to come out with the lie and say, well, no, we don't stand for discrimination, or we don't stand for anyone being treated less than, and we support diversity. And it's like, well, I've seen your show. There is no diversity. Or one person who isn't white and there is not diversity.
Can I respond just quickly?
Please.
I think that particular situation is because they've realized they probably within themselves and their organization, they don't stand for racism because they don't feel they do anything racist, right? And they don't have a team of people who are racist. But when a situation like this arises, when the whole world's talking about it, they realize that outside of their organization, no one could tell that because their actions because their platform doesn't show that they're actively against it, just from the outside looking in. So then that's when they're like, oh, okay. They would tell you that they're not a racist organization, but from the outside looking in, you couldn't tell that. And then they realize that, oh, no one can tell this because we actually don't have anyone on here.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that if you're
that we are,
but if you're saying that your studio doesn't stand for discrimination, and they strive to be, I don't know why you always got to strive, why can't you just do it? They strive to be a studio with diversity, or you know, like what the woman said, we've had a narrow, still can't remember what she said, that
we've been narrowing our focus.
Yeah, and all of that. If it's true that you don't discriminate and you don't believe in it, then why are you doing it?
Because they don't think that they have to show it, because they know that they are. I really do think, like the same woman who said she was narrowing her focus, she'd probably say to you, I'm not racist. We don't have that kind of company. You know what I mean? We respect all races. But it's at this moment when they realize, when the spotlight is shined on them, they realize, you couldn't tell that from the outside. Like, we're going to have to argue that we are. So now we've got to do something about it to show that we are. Because I don't think they realize that in order to be for something, you have to show you're for that thing. You have to act on it. They don't know. They don't think. But again, that's a privilege, isn't it?
But in order to promote diversity and be against racial discrimination in the workplace and on screen, they literally have to employ and put on TV people who aren't just white. So they do see it, because when they go down the casting list and they're only seeing these white names, they know that there's only one black person who everyone knows is a token black person in that show. Like, that black person don't have any other black friends or Asian friends or anything like that. They know this. So why is it that, oh, we don't discriminate? But you do. Don't say you don't. And
because it's not, because
on your show, it's
the argument is that we don't. Like, I'm sure this is where some of this came from.
So everyone just ends up with one black person in their show.
Yeah, because it's now I have to let you know that I do stand for what you stand for. So now I have to tell you that. But ordinarily, in everyday thing, we're not a racist company. We just don't have any black people working for us, because it doesn't. And that I know it sounds strange, but that is literally the thinking. Whereas a black person would be like, okay, we're gonna segregate ourselves so that we can give people more of a chance. Yeah, we're gonna give people more of a chance, and then we get questioned on, well, why does it have to be for black people? And it's because you don't take the stand of true diversity. That's why we have to segregate ourselves to give ourselves a platform. That's why I said to you, I will never have white models model my stuff. I'm waiting for someone to question me on that, because my response would be, I do it for the same reason Vogue don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't ask me no questions. Do you know what I mean?
I just think whenever it comes, I just think to myself, it's a contradiction. You're saying you're not this and you go against it, and yet everything you are is this. But anyway, I got one more, and this one is called White Time.
And
now,
also, sorry, just to say that on the tail end of that, also there is a notion, especially in fashion and in film, that if there's too many of one race, it's not for the other race. And that again is why a lot of these companies don't use black.
White people,
right? But as black people, we can go to your company and never see ourselves and still feel like things are for us. That's why I said to you, I do it for the same reason Vogue. You come to my company, like the earrings on someone black, buy it, deal with it, you'll be fine. But that is literally why they don't do it, because that's our target audience. And if they see too many of you, it might deter who we're really looking for.
Yes.
White is for everybody.
That is a mindset. Yes.
Black is for the some.
Definite mindset.
Yeah, it's a mindset.
My last one is called White Time.
White Time.
White Time is basically
just want to remind everybody that actually came up with these definitions by herself.
Yes, I did.
She's a creative.
White Time. White Time is basically when so for example, we want change. We've always wanted change. We want things implicated to protect Black lives. Okay. But then being told by white people, you have to wait your turn. Just give it some time. Be patient. It's gonna get there. It's just gonna take time. And in the meantime, what's happening in the meantime? People's lives are being lost. It's dire. That is White Time. when you're being told basically suppress your emotions, and it's going to take some time. And we're saying there is no more time. We are at the precipice. It's either jump off the mountain or back up. That's it. Quite time. The end.
Wow.
I hope I explained that properly.
You did.
Right, I've got one more thing to read to you, and then we can wrap this up. One other thing actually that I meant to say to you that I think is really important when people are addressing this whole situation is to actually use the word black. I keep hearing people of color.
Oh,
We're not talking
that
about
term,
people of color.
That term
We're talking about
incensed
black
me.
people.
You would hardly ever
people of
hear
color
me use
is
it,
vast.
right? I don't like it. I don't like the term because that would imply that there is one color and then there's something else. That's how I feel. There's this there's this main thing, and then there's this other thing.
But I just mean in terms of when they're talking about this whole movement and the process of what's happening and that things need to change and legislation. I keep hearing people talk about, this is how people of color feel. And it's like, no. You need to be specific because the word black is not getting used enough. We are not talking about, yeah.
Are you talking about that it's not specific to the particular race that you're talking about? So
I'm saying that when I'm hearing people talk about the protests on the news, they're talking about how we're treated, the police brutality. They are saying people of color. Now, people of color are not just black people. It's black and brown people. But we are talking about black people specifically. That's what this whole movement is about.
A specific portion of the brown community, because there is black. I always thought Black Lives Matters was for all people that were brown, right?
Black
and
I'm learning that for black about black people.
It's and I'm black. The term black is not a color of skin. It is a term for culture. Black culture is where the black is black.
Fine.
Everybody is brown, right? But I understand that the identifier is black. Like that's the identifier for people who are not of the Asian community in terms of the other brown Asian community. Anybody who doesn't have black culture as their identity, right? I'm trying to find the words to say it right. So you're saying that they're not talking specifically about a specific portion of people. They're just making it like an umbrella.
They're not talking about me and you. They're saying people of color. That's what I'm saying to you.
Okay. But I watched that video you told me to watch with the Asian guy who made some very good points, right?
He's a comedian, yeah.
Yeah, I know he's a comedian. And I do want to say that even though Black Lives Matter does seem to be for blacks who identify with black culture, it affects everybody brown because I'm just saying, like, if you're Asian and you don't think that this affects you, right? When a white person who holds racist values within them sees you, he sees you in the same way he sees that black guy. But you are just not white. It affects you. If it can happen to us, it will happen to you.
Yes, and we know it does happen. But the point is that it happens to black people on the statistics are incredible. We are the worst off when it comes to police brutality, when it comes to violent attack. That is why we are specifically talking about black people, and black people do not get talked about in our own right. It's always we're in people of color, and that's fine. But right now, we are talking about black people and the brutality against black, and that word is not being used now. When you say people of color, you are including everyone, and that is not what this portion of life right now with what's happened the movement is about. Obviously, I don't want any person of color to be brutalized, but unfortunately, black people are at the top of the list, and we're at the bottom also. We're at the bottom of the barrel. So when we talk about black people, don't be afraid to say the word black, because then you're specifically saying, I'm talking about this culture, this specific race of people who get mistreated. That is very important, because when you start putting other races in, it spreads out. It becomes very vague. But when you're talking about Black people, it's specific. Okay, I just want to say that. Right, this is the last thing we're going to talk about. I want to talk about. You can bring out something else. I'm going to read something to you, and I want to see what your opinion is of this, okay? So somebody tweeted out, they put, can you hear me properly?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my light in.
They said, defeating white supremacy without white people creates Black supremacy. Equality is the truth. Like it or not, we are all in this together. What do you think about that?
You read it again?
No, I'm to read it again. Defeating white supremacy without white people creates Black supremacy. Equality is the truth. Like it or not, we are all in this together.
I got some issue with that, but I'm not sure if I should.
What's the issue that you have? The Black supremacy part?
Yes, the Black supremacy, and that we're all in this together. And so, how do you understand that?
Do you want me to read you the definition of supremacy?
Sure. I mean, I feel like I know it, but sure.
So the definition of supremacy is the state or condition of being superior to all others in authority, power, or status. Now, does the word Black go before that for you?
I feel about Black people, yes, but in generally,
in society, in the world,
no. Which is why we all get incensed about this. All lives matters, right? It feels like it's falling back into that. I agree with the first bit that we do need white people. I agree with that.
Supremacy with that. Are there any white people that you've met or seen that don't believe that are saying, no, whites, stay at home?
No, I don't know of anyone, but I have to say that I do agree with the statement that you need white people. It's like, and I'm not trying to diminish or say anything that is prejudice here. I'm just likening it to this very thing. My brain thinks so simple when I have to try and compare things. So I immediately thought about Vanish. Vanish, and when you drop red wine on something, there are some stains that you need to put the thing back on. There's some stains you need the thing back. You need to put the thing that stains the carpet. You need to put it back on or on your clothing to get it off. So I'm like, we need white people in order to make change. Literally, because they are the ones who can change it, because they were the ones who brought the oppression.
But do you believe that what that person says, without white people, it's going to create Black supremacy?
As in, we're going to be the equivalent of white supremacy.
I can read you the definition.
I mean, on the basis of
condition of being superior to all others in authority, power, and status. Do you believe that without white people in this protest, because I believe that without white people we wouldn't be anywhere in the protest, because as we know, white people listen to white people. When white people have a problem,
you could not have a group of Black people on Vauxhall Bridge. You couldn't have it without there being a problem. It's the white people there brought the ease and the tension down.
Do you believe
people see it as a mob?
Yes. Do you believe that as Black people just coming together and, what did they say, defeating white supremacy, which I don't believe would be possible without white people?
Very interesting.
Do you believe that we're going to kind of be like, oh, supremacy? Because supremacy isn't just a state of mind.
That is very true.
So that person got a lot of flack for that. So this is what they wrote in their second tweet.
But they have to come back, huh? Not stop tweeting.
No, don't stop there. Don't stop there. Well, you're just having thoughts and
right, because before Twitter, right, Black people have been twittering in their house, in their community for years. It's like, please, not everybody needs to know what you're thinking. I think it's a generational thing, to be honest with you.
So you're saying you don't agree with that statement, or you do?
No, I think it incites trouble, because it feels as though they're trying to say that given too much rope, Black people would get to the point where they feel entitled to do certain things. And I'm like, as human beings, we all carry a certain level of making a wonderful point. As human beings, you have an entitlement to your civil rights, right?
Mm.
And if you take that away from a human being, you've left them with very little.
I'm just gonna turn
And
my light. Go on.
yeah, go on. And to suggest that suggest that if we're left alone or given too much room, we then will become the people that we're trying to fight against. I'm offended by that.
Okay.
Because because we did not start this. That's what I'm trying to say. We didn't start supremacy. The term was brought about by something that a certain portion of white people with certain racist views. That's where racism comes from. That's the term. That's why when black people say you're a racist to other black people, I'm always like, please understand the true definition of racism. It's a financial term. Black people literally cannot be racist. Google it.
Right.
Do your research. It's impossible. We can be prejudiced, but it's impossible for us to be racist.
That better, Shan.
Well, yeah.
That.
Stuff like
okay,
yeah.
so this is the second tweet that person wrote. Please know.
Okay.
Sorry. Tell what to do. Joking. And then afterwards, we can have night chats, isn't it?
You think I'm talking to you after this? Look at you, your entitlement. You think I'm talking to you after this?
So funny.
I'm
Okay,
looking for a snack. I'm looking to run shop. I'm looking to waddle up to the shop with my little crutch, with my crutches. I'm looking for that shit. You can power down from these chats. You got to power down like it just.
Right, so the second tweet they wrote was, please know that everything I've said comes from a spirit of love and reconciliation for the Black community first, then the world as a whole, in hopes to see a better future for Black people.
I don't believe
Then
it.
they wrote a third tweet.
Oh, digging holes, huh?
So they got more flat. What do you think of that second thing? Do you want to read it again?
Yeah, it's a lie. I don't believe you.
Okay, don't need to read it again.
Yeah.
I believe it is important we not suffer from groupthink and we keep minds of our own and be allowed to ask difficult questions to each other. I believe this dialogue is important as we get through this trauma together.
What trauma? What trauma? Oh, so trauma implies it's just a period of time and we're going to get like this phase will end. What trauma? This does not. This is not going to end. It's traumatic. But there is the Black trauma in terms of what happened from 1460 something when man Columbus descended upon. There's that, and we are still dealing with that trauma. We have not healed from that. We cannot heal from that because our society doesn't give us the space and time to do so. We've never had an apology. No one's given us any money. When slavery ended, all the people who owned slaves got on average £2,000 each per slave. They got paid because their labor force in the West Indies and wherever their slaves were in the world, they lost that income from it. So they got paid back. That's what we're living in. There is no such thing as equality because white people think it's someone else's problem. That's the problem. They think it's someone else's problem.
And also, what I think is so interesting is that, number one, even if a Black person felt supremacy, it's not a bad thing. A Black person feeling supremacy is basically just rising up their self-esteem.
Saying we come from
to where they're from, but it still won't be. I'm out shot. It still won't be. The height of what a white supremacist feels. It's completely different.
In the emotional sense of how to carry yourself and your confidence, there's a certain level of that. That's what I said to you before.
It still could never reach what white supremacy is.
It comes back to the old thing about racism. We are living in a white world, right? And people who are not Black but do not identify as white, they're having problems too, right? They're living in a white world too. If you're white, you're going to be okay. If you're not white and you're not Black, you're going to have your problems. But if you're Black, it's over for you. That's just how it works. We're living in that kind of system.
All right, now I'm gonna tell you who wrote that tweet.
Oh my god, am I gonna be terribly disappointed?
Who do you think? Do you think it was
know.
man, woman, white, black, Asian?
I want to say it was a man who was white. But now that you said this, I feel like you're setting me up for a fall. If you say Oprah Winfrey, I'm gonna scream.
You think it was a guy?
I think it was a guy. I think it was a white guy, but it might have been a black person. But I think it was a white guy.
Do you think it was a white guy because of black supremacy, or do you think it was the whole thing?
Just felt white, but it also I could imagine someone black saying something that just completely goes against the middle of the road thinking. So go ahead.
Terry Crews.
You know I'm in love with Terry Crews, so I don't know what you're talking about. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. No, Terry Crews is my like man. Basically, I've been married to him for years. I model all men off of Terry Crews. My Terry Crews from Brooklyn Nine-Nine and everything else I like him from. Terry.
Right now, Shan is experiencing what's called a mental and emotional breakdown.
Do you know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to rationalize this for Terry. And I'm thinking, from what context did he mean this from? Did he mean in terms of certain races?
He told you in the second and third. He said, I believe it's important we not suffer from groupthink. Didn't know groupthink was a whole word. And we keep minds of our own and be allowed to ask difficult questions to each other.
I agree with that. You should ask difficult questions. But like I say that with the second breath that we're recording this podcast, and I made some remarks earlier, and every time I make a remark, I'm thinking about, is that going to be understood the way I want it to be? I'm constantly thinking about what I'm saying here. Even though I was about to say to you, it feels so nice to have a platform where we can just talk like we would talk if we were at home. But I'm also aware we put this out. We do not promote it. we told that. I think I told someone about it for the first time last week. We do not promote it. I don't even remember half the time that we have it. Right? But I don't know, Terry. Like, I'm just like, what is it? White supremacy from the outlook that they will now start to see us as vigilantes or as like.
No. He's saying, what I interpret is that we run the risk of feeling superior to them now.
But isn't that what a fight is about? Aren't you like going a little deeper? When you go to war and you fight for something, don't you have to feel that what you're fighting for is more than what the other side wants? It's more important. Don't you have to have that feeling in that you are supreme in the situation? Isn't that what athletes have to feel like when they get on the track or when like
I think
that you have to feel that sense of I am God right now, like this I am worthy as an amp up. Don't you need to feel that supremacy in order to fight?
But I don't think that's what he's talking about. He's saying,
I don't think that's what he's talking about either, but I'm just saying.
It's like he's saying that we've refused white people's help, and that's going to be our detriment to the way we carry on. We're going to become so up our own asses, and it's like,
is that what he's saying? Yeah,
that's how I've understood
that's
it.
how I got
like
it.
He's fighting against something.
Before you said it was Terry Crews, that's how I understood it. But then you said it was Terry Crews, and I'm like trying to figure out if that's what he meant. Only because
you can go on, you can look at his tweets yourself. You can look at people's response to it. He got dragged.
Like, you know that video? Oh, did I sent you a video about this black woman in LA when there was, I think it was LA, there was a protest, and she is screaming at the top of her lungs that Black Lives Matter are racist because
I sent you that video.
Oh, okay, cool. I had a brain fart just then. Okay, cool. So I watched it a couple of times, and I shared it, and like I said, she has a point. Like she has a point. Like, you do not see a march every time someone gets shot in the ghetto, but yet someone gets shot in the ghetto every day.
Yeah.
She said people kill more blacks are killed by blacks more than whites kill black, and I don't agree with that. I don't know where she got that information from. I don't think that black on black crime is not a real thing. It's a terminology. It's not a real thing. It's not black on black crime. There's just crime.
Yeah, but she's talking about black people killing black people.
Yeah, but white people kill white people all the time. So that term, I have a problem with the term black on black crime. It doesn't exist. It's just crime. But what she's saying is you don't get this march for when someone dies at the hands of, let's just say the ghetto, I'm just saying, in certain parts of, where black people will kill other black people. And she's saying, where is Black Lives Matters there? And she makes a point.
So I would counter that by saying, number one. I would
counter it too, but.
We'll see if you agree with me then. Number one, let's talk about the ghetto, because that's what we know the word. When a black person kills another black person in the ghetto. And the police are called, do the police even show up?
No.
If the police show up, is the black person not taken into custody and thrown in jail?
It's true. That was my counterpoint. I was on that.
Okay.
There's a broader issue here.
And when it comes to crime, say in poor areas that are suffering from poverty, are we not there because of the white man?
Exactly. There's a broader issue. There's a broader thing. Yeah.
And are they not selling drugs on the street and getting killed because that is their livelihood? Because that's the only way they see a way out.
And which black organization or blacks do not have the financial grounding to be able to import drugs. We don't import drugs and we don't make them.
No, white people. It's
right. So
that
the things that we sell. That's what I'm trying to say. We're not at the beginning or we're at the end of it, but we're not at the beginning of it. But we feel the effects of it.
And when the black man comes out of prison,
what's he got to do?
He wants a job,
right?
And he's got a black sounding name. Or he goes for an interview, is he discriminated against or is he welcomed in the white man's business? No one's saying that black on black crime isn't a thing. No one's saying that it should happen. But what Black Lives Matter is about, what this is about, is white people brutalizing black people because of systematic and just up in your face racism. That's what this is about. So no one's talking about that it's not a crime. When a white person kills another white person, that is also a crime. But when a white person uses a fake $20 bill and if the police is called, they're going to make it to the jail. Do you know about the boy that shot up the black church? And he
was given fucking
and they
food.
said they went to he was hungry, so they took him to Burger King.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
You don't think is it more or less likely that a black person would have even made it to the cop car? What we're trying to say, it's not even 50-50. That's not the odds. The odds are a lot lower.
You may make it, you may not.
Nothing.
You're not going to Burger King, but you may make it, you may not. You may not make it.
And Kev, I think it was Kevin that said that if that George Floyd was a dog, and that cop had stood on his neck for 8 minutes,
rage.
You know the uproar that would have happened. That's
outrage.
What Black Lives Matter is about. Outrage. That's what this whole movement is about. Nobody's saying that black people in the ghetto or wherever is not a concern. It's a concern, obviously, but let's think about why that's happening. What help are they getting? Why are they in poverty? Why are they living in neighborhoods that they are so desperate to get out of? Why do they have to go and sell drugs? Why do they have to grow up in a place where they know that the police is an enemy to them? That's what we're talking about. And not just that, we're talking about being in a job and having to dilute. I didn't even know what microaggressions were until a few months ago. I had never heard that term before.
You didn't have a term for it, but you knew it.
I didn't know there was a term for it. I always think, did I have microaggressions when this thing was? And I know for true that must have happened to me because when I was working, when I was working in where I worked, one time one of the not managers but the person below that said to
Mhm.
me that someone had come in with a club card, not a club card, but one of the cards for the store, you know, the credit that you get the points on,
Mhm.
points card, and it was someone who was an employee, and they used their regular points card and they used their sync card as well to
Mhm.
get points. And she said to me, oh, she said it was me that issued it through, and she said because of how you look, and she meant because I'm black, right? And I thought to myself, first of
Of
all,
how you
not only
look.
am I yeah, like she was trying not to say black because she went on to say half caste about someone
It's
else. I was like, am I
so
gonna?
interesting how
But she
like
said she was trying not to say black, and I said oh, because and she was like, yeah, she described you, and I thought to myself, did that really happen, number one, or was I the one person in the store that you knew that you could pick out of the crowd because I was the only black person in there, and you can't say, oh, it was a white girl because there was like 5 or 6 white girls, it was an Asian person because there were 5 or 6 Asian persons. Was I just being picked out? And either way, policy, why am I getting in trouble for if you, do you know how many customers I get per day? I'm supposed to go through every card. Just give me one card. You read the policy as well. That's not the point though. The point is that it's about all those things that let's just be real about it, okay? If it wasn't for white people, the state of black people would not be how it is
would
now.
not be how it
Okay?
is. Yeah.
No matter what you think about, no matter what you think about when it comes to black people being in any kind of pain, poverty, you can always trace it back to white people, always. So yes, we know terrible things happen. Black people kill black people, white people kill white people, Asian people kill Asian people. And something that Kev said was that, of course, if she's saying that it's highest that black people kill black people, he said, if black people mostly live around black people and someone gets killed or robbed, it's going to be another black person. Just like in a white neighborhood, it's going to be a white
That's
person.
why I said
In an
that
Asian neighborhood,
term
it's going to
black
be an
on
Asian
right.
person.
That term black on
And
black
that's it.
crime does
But
not exist.
we're talking about when people not doing their jobs, when it is caught on camera. And I listened to a whole documentary, a podcast about the guy who was, I think his name was Orlando Castile, I think his name was, and it was on Facebook Live when he was shot in the car with I don't know if you remember. He had a gun on him, but he said to the guy, no, even the guy's partner said he wasn't reaching for his gun. Is that guy in prison?
Very, very sad.
No, but
With the child in the
what?
back, that was
It's a
sad,
kid in
man. The
back,
whole situation, you watch that and you're like, oh my God. And then you're like, please, no one else die. Don't shoot the kids. Like, your heart moves like, oh my God. Like, you just watch that and you're like, oh, you can see this like terrible thunderstorm unfolding and you're like, oh my God, there's a child in the back. The mum's there and she's like, oh my God, my child. I don't know how.
Yeah, it turned like that. And what is so interesting is that this is the problem. The guy had been written up more than once for his
that happens a lot, innit? Like,
that happens all the time. It's happened with this guy as well. That's what this is about. It's about that racism, that systemic and what's it called when it's in your face? Obvious racism. It's about the microaggressions, but it's about when you are treated unfairly and nothing happens because the people at the top do not look like you and cannot know or do not care to know what it feels like to be suppressed. That's what it's about. The end.
Yeah, it's a great place to
And that girl, she was African. That girl, she was originally from Africa. Yeah. She was, and I thought to myself, I know the next time I see you, you're going to be Trump has has given you a job. I know. I always know. You just like you know.
I don't feel like she should be shamed though. Like, I don't think she should be shamed for having her views. Like, I didn't like the fact that people were saying shame on you, because I feel like as a black person, they can think whatever they want. Do you know why? Because everyone's got a circumstance that other people don't understand.
That's fine. But when
she's
you
got let the girl speak.
When you come out, she more than spoke. But when you come out in the middle of a rally and you don't know what you're talking about, because for some reason
I don't think she did a straight
line.
Oh, that's what you
think. She didn't know what she was talking about.
I didn't think she didn't know what she was talking about. But I just feel like don't shame her. That's
Well,
how she feels.
she said shame on them. She
Yeah,
said it
but
to them.
I realize that.
What do you think she was doing? She was
I
shaming
realize
them.
that, but I'm just saying she's there by herself. Don't shame her, because whatever
That's your
views she
problem.
has,
You're
whatever
there by
views.
yourself because none of your friends wanted to come
But
visit.
think about it on a bigger
Yeah,
spectrum,
that's your
right? It's
problem.
a black.
You decided.
She's one black woman, and she has
Yeah.
a circumstance that she can relate to, and she doesn't feel like people are listening to that. That black life matter is there for you to be able to express how you feel. Yes, it wasn't in an eloquent way, and she was shouting.
So what? She believes that by trying to bring one thing down that for
You
black
can't.
people, it's going to raise something back up.
What's that phrase when people say you can't doubt, like my feelings should be doubted by you, like you can't. What's that thing? If that's the way I feel. if that's the way I feel, then that's the way it is. Like you can't. I don't need you to validate my feelings. That's how I feel. That's how she feels, and I feel like in that situation,
fine.
let her say what she needs to say.
She said what she needed to say. She said it, but she was shaming the protesters. She was shaming for it hasn't incensed me. I'm just saying she was shaming the protesters. She decided to come there by herself. So that's her choice, what she wants to do. And at no point did she talk about what she believes, what she's doing for what she believes of black people killing black people. She just came there to shame the Black Lives Matter. She said it's an embarrassment. You're making black people and my America look bad. And I'm like, okay, fine. So if you're ever in a position when a white person shoots you, a white cop shoots you, I guess you're okay with it.
But no, but she's protesting for Black lives. So she's talking about the same thing. She said no one. She was protesting for Black lives. She was just saying no one cared when that. She said no one cared when that happened.
How can you protest for Black lives and bring down a Black Lives Matter?
Because that's your view. That's what I'm trying to say. Everybody is there for Black lives, right? Her Black lives are the ones that she's talking about in certain poverty-stricken parts of America. So she's still fighting for the Black lives.
Why is there poverty there?
It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is, my point is that she's still there shouting about a Black life, as are other people there. There's just the circumstance and the scenario that everyone's fighting for is different on the day. That's why I'm trying to say, let her have her. That's how she feels. And as a black woman,
that's fine if that's how you feel.
That's what I'm saying. She has a point. I don't think it was eloquently put, or that it needed to happen in that space, in that way. Because I don't know, was she going shop or she just left her house?
She came there for that, I believe.
I don't know. I thought she was just on.
But I don't believe she had any point. I think she was talking out of her ass. I think she was talking in a way that is very much just like a lot of white people do. They start from now. They don't look to what actually the process was to getting up to now.
So what do you think?
And you can be all for it, but not once did she say, I'm protesting for black on black crime in the ghetto. I'm trying to make a change for that. She was just blasting Black Lives Matter, which is for the same people who are in that situation. It's for her as well. So you're saying that we should only deal with when a black person kills a black person, but when a white person kills a black person, that's cool?
Okay, if you want to know what video we're talking about, I'm going to put it in the description box below.
You don't need to know that.
I'm going to put it in the description box below this video on YouTube and in the notes underneath the audio version of this podcast. Before we wrap up, I've got two things. The first thing, I want to know, what was your view on Terry Crews? When you realized it was Terry Crews speaking, what did you think?
Well, I knew from the beginning.
Oh yeah, you did. Sorry, but did you suffer from a disappointment, or were you like?
Because sometimes he puts stuff out, and I'm like, oh, Terry. Like even the guy.
When did he do that? This is my first experience of the. Oh, Terry.
I don't think people were surprised. They're just like, oh, Terry.
Really? I don't know him to be like that. That's why he's my husband.
Because you don't research. But people are just like, no, that's not.
Okay, what do you mean I don't research?
You just said you don't know because you don't see it, so you don't research.
No, but I'm saying I'm on one of his platforms. I don't see him say anything.
Your Instagram is there.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I just feel like in terms of that black girl, I'd say to her also that when there is black on black crime, do you feel like the people that you feel cringeworthy of for seeing us the way we are? Do you think that they give a shit about the people?
I'm not sure why you're so.
And why that's happening?
I'm not sure why you're.
Who is she fighting for? Because she ain't fighting for black people.
Are you upset that she did it at that
I'm not
march?
upset about it. No, I'm not upset about any
What
of
else?
it.
What are you in disagreement with that she did it at that march?
I'm just saying that she didn't seem to know what she was talking about. She was fighting for something that wasn't happening. And it's like saying to someone, "You're, huh?"
I didn't feel that, but go ahead.
But to say, look, if you care about Black people dying, then them dying should be the them not dying should be the goal. That should be it. Why are you saying, okay, well, this shouldn't matter now because we should be looking at this, when it's like, well, let's look at what happens when she was talking about a very what's it when you've got tunnel vision. And this is another thing, just very quickly, that I feel like when people like Terry Crews come out and that goes, well, it's this thing of, okay, so we're talking about it now. We've lived with it forever. We've lived with the oppression and feeling like we've got to dilute ourselves, blah, blah. Now we're bringing it to light. Oh, but the blame is on us. I very much feel like it's always put back on us. We're not doing enough. Okay. We're not saying it's our fault that this is happening. And she kept saying, I'm free. I'm free. I'm African. I'm free. I'm free. And I was like, you're as free as you can be until something happens to you and it's racially provoked. Okay. And then what happens? What happens then? She has the right to say whatever she wants. All I want is that if you say something, you have your facts ready. You don't just start from the present now. There's always a history to things, but also you don't bring down one thing to promote something else when you're fighting for the same thing. That's it. Okay. You can say, this is great, but I also have concerns about this as well. You don't need to attack and shame something that obviously needs to happen. Because if everyone felt like how she felt, none of this would be going on.
Okay.
Wrap it up there.
One thing before we go, that was very well said. One thing before we go, so I said earlier that I had we're doing the march. I had a moment.
Yes.
I had a moment when you have no idea what I'm going to say.
No, I just remembered. No, because I thought you were going to talk about the thing that is censored. I thought, no, we talked about that.
No. Yeah, I had a moment at the march when I realized that this was like part of Black history, and
yes, definitely,
it needed to be captured and archived. And so what I've decided to do is I've put some of the photos that I took from that march up on my website. And so if you were there and you want to be able to have something to be able to show the grandkids, or if you want something to be able to have something, if you want to have something to what's the name? It's not memorialize, to remember the day and remember the movement.
Mark
you can
it.
find to mark it. That's the word I'm looking for. To mark the day, you can find photographic prints up on the website. That's www.theurbantiger.com, or I'm in the process of changing the URL, so you can also find that on chantelbancroft.com. Depending upon when I change the URL, you can type in any one of those two, you'll find it. And by buying a print, I am going to donate 5% of the profits of each print to a Black anti-racism fund, charity, or organization. So by buying a print, you'd be donating that too. So that's what you can do. I've put some up, and I'm in the process of doing some more. It was a very, very powerful day, and more because I just couldn't believe what was going on. Just want to say that.
Yeah. Also, in the following the next few days, I'm gonna put up the pictures and videos and stuff that I took from. And you're gonna. I don't know if you've done it already. On Instagram. So we have an Instagram page, Self-Conscious Podcast. That's what it's called.
Yeah, you'll see it. You'll see our little face. You see our little face pop out. You'll see. I've put a couple of things up there already. I've got information up there about the protest that's happening on Friday. What's the date tomorrow? What's the date on my thing say? On the 12th, the protest on the Saturday in London has been cancelled, and that protest has been moved to the 12th, which is Friday. It's a little confusing, but if you go over to our page, which is like you said, the Self-Conscious podcast. Yeah, there's links to be able to find the information out there, but I do know that it's been moved. I don't think I have anything else to say. I took a lot of video, so I'm going to be periodically putting it up. I didn't know how much video to put up, but I'll be putting it up.
I'm not editing. I'm just going to put it all. I mean, you can choose what you want to watch. You can choose what you want to watch.
You can pick and choose, but there'll be like the whole page will be dominated because we don't put pictures up of ourselves on there, so it will be on there. And if you've liked this episode, if we touched on anything that has you've been feeling or anything that you disagree with, it's good to hear how people are feeling.
And these are just our opinions.
Yeah, just that's what I say.
Personal opinions.
These are our personal opinions
and experiences.
As people who have worn black as a badge of honor for many years and live in a society where our lives don't matter. So I've lost my point. Yes, if you have any, we don't want no racist comments left under this video. You will be blocked. So act like a human being and be conscious about what you're saying and think about it because words hurt. And you can leave comments underneath this YouTube video, and you can leave it, like we said, if you download the Anchor app, you can actually leave us a voice message of your opinions, and we'll play it in the in future shows.
All right,
I will set that up.
And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Nikki!
On YouTube.
Think of it. What do you think of this whole Zoom thing? Are you liking it?
It's becoming normal to me. Like I was watching, I was like, this is nice. You're not like clear on my thing. You're like a little bit like I was like, no, this is normal.
It's because on here my webcam, it needs a hell of a lot of light in order to stop me from being.
Oh, but they all look like this.
On my phone, I look amazing on my phone.
Yeah, mine too.
On here. I don't know. We also have I don't know if I want to talk about that. Yeah, I'll talk about it. This may get cut out, but we're also setting up a Patreon page. So if you want to donate some money every month,
Shannon's doing that.
I'm doing that. You can. We're setting that up. I'm setting that up soon. A Patreon page so you can help us run this show. Basically, we do all of this for free in our own time. And as you can see, I'm using some very
own equipment.
Yeah, using some very cheap mics. And so, if you'd like to help support the show, that would be great. We have some equipment that I'd like to buy. I need to buy a better webcam. We need to get some better mics. Support would be welcome.
Starting out then.
Yeah. Okay, that's it, right? Have a wonderful and blessed week. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Are you gonna put it up in your window? Are you gonna do it?
I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna put it somewhere.
We'll talk on Zoom. But I do think what you could do is like stages. You can like put it up. You can put your. For those of you who listen to the audio, always holding up her protest board from when she went on the protest to BLM. You should put it up for an hour and see how you feel. Do it slowly and then take it down. You know what I would do? I'd hang it right outside my door. Frame it.
Yeah, I don't know. living in a black area is different.
I don't know. I haven't seen anything up in the windows here either, so I don't.
Yeah, but I wasn't hesitate.
Oh,
I wouldn't hesitate to do that.
I didn't think. Well,
either way, I'm keeping it. I'll probably frame it because it means a lot to me, and I'm looking forward to making some of my own and protesting again, and yeah, being an activist.
New thing in it. I just want to say, I didn't add this earlier, but if you go to the website, there is actually a designated space called Black Lives Matter. So if you look in the menu, it's called Black Lives Matter. If you look in the menu, there's a whole space just for Black Lives Matter. You can find that under Shop by Collection. Yeah, I mean, it's a new thing. I'm really trying to think about if I can do this thing tomorrow. I'm powered up. I feel like I want to be there. You know, like I didn't see the food that everyone was talking about. I saw it on Instagram, but I didn't personally see plates of food everywhere.
I tell you, boy, carnival's happening. Carnival, the blackest thing all year. Carnival.
I'm gonna bring that out in the next
Talk about it in the next
bonus episode because it did come like carnival. I was standing there thinking like, this is like carnival.
But I would go this year.
I have to say before, like I was saying to you before, I wasn't like I was disappointed it was cancelled, but I was equally like I don't know if I'd go because we just had a pandemic. Do I want to be all up in there with that sort of thing? And so it made sense that they cancelled it. But having gone through this process with so many people walking next to me, I'm just like it was literally come like carnival, and I'm like maybe we can do a little some. Everybody was wearing a mask.
Wear their masks.
Everybody
still wear their masks.
Mm.
But yeah, we'll talk about it next time. All right, cool, Shanna. All right, guys.
Cool. All right, thanks for tuning in. Guys.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. Now we're old. We're gonna be old for like 5 minutes.
I don't want to say stop recording and then it's not ending.
Leave. It says leave.
Wait, wait. Let me stop this. Okay, cool.